Spread of Christianity. Now we have already learned that Christianity, the Roman Empire had become the Roman king had converted himself into Christianity. There was a tradition in those times that whatever the religion the king will follow, the subjects will also have to follow the same religion. So what happened when the king accepted the religion, the subject automatically they started they converted themselves into Christianity. So this happened because in a mass scale, and very fast this religion started to be accepted all over the world. There were reasons for that. First, you will understand the division of the ancient, the medieval, and the modern history. The ancient history is stable all over because the pace of development was very slow then all over the world. But in the medieval and in the modern history, what happened? The pace started to be faster somewhere, slower somewhere. So, as according to the pace, what happened? The medieval and the modern period varies from one place to one country to another. The medieval period in Europe was a period of transition. Period of transition. Transition means a period of change from one to another, from the ancient to the modern world. It covered a span of 900 to 1000 years, from the early 7th century CE to 16th century CE. This civilization, however, is not universally accepted because of conflicting interpretation and opinions of historians and scholars. The decline of the ancient empire. The mighty Roman Empire, with which India had established a very important trade relations, because as I had told you, Constantinople was a place of trade, world trade. The east and the west met here. The eastern world went to that place, and the western world traders also came to that place, and traders met there and exchanged their goods. So it was a very important seat of civilization. Impact of barbarian invasions. Barbarian means the cruel people, the people who were cruel. An invasion is attack. The attack by the cruel people. One important reason for the fall of the great empire was the repeated attacks by various Germanic tribes such as the Goths, the Vandals, and the Franks. These raids are sometimes referred to as barbarian invasions. The invaders penetrated deep into the Roman territory and plundered. Plundered is to loot. Plundered is to loot. Okay? And ravaged. Ravage is severely damaged. Severely devastated. The other meaning is okay. So what happened? The invaders penetrated deep into the Roman territory and plundered into Roman and ravaged it. Even the magnificent city of Rome was not spared. Spared is left. Spared is left. These tribes gradually is slowly settled down and assumed control of the western part of Roman Empire. The political and economic crisis in the Roman Empire were other important reasons for the downfall. Barbaric attack was one cause, the second cause was political, and the third cause was economic attack. Byzantium, the birth of new empire. In 395 CE, the Roman Empire was divided into two parts, Eastern Empire and the Western Empire. The eastern part of Roman Empire was known as Byzantium. Its capital was Constantinople, and it is present day Istanbul. The Byzantine Empire was also attacked by the barbarian tribes, but it proved to be more resilient than its western counterpart. It successfully withstood the onslaughts. What is the meaning of onslaught? Destructive attack. Destructive attack. Destructive attacks. Onslaughts. Okay? And preserved some of the great legacies of the glorious empire. Now, preserve, maintain in its original state. Preserved, maintain in its original states. Preserved, maintain in its original state. Okay, so, and preserve some of the great legacies of the glorious modern empire. Legacy, property left to someone. Property left to someone. Okay, these Germanic tribes had, however, lived for more than a century on the borders of the Roman Empire and were familiar with the Roman culture. They were semi-civilized and brought with them their own tradition and culture. So there was a merge of culture and tradition. The unity of Western Europe ended. New forms of government and new centers of power had to be found. One united factor was Christianity and the Roman Church. And who united them? Christianity and Roman Church. Spread of Christianity. The spread of Christianity was one of the most important developments in early medieval Europe. The Germanic tribe that overran Italy left the Church of Roman unharmed. The Church was allowed to retain its spiritual power over all the Christians. What happened? Now, what happened in 400 CE? The most people in Europe were non-Christians. Within 500 years, about 900 CE, most of the Europeans had been converted. Converted means changed themselves to Christianity. In every European state, Christianity had become the state religion. The conversion of feudal. Feudal is according to, resembling. Okay? Lord were usually followed by mass conversion of his subject as Christianity spread the power and wealth of the church multiplied. The feudal lords, those who were agriculturists, those who were lords of lands, states, okay, they also converted themselves to Christianity. And when they converted themselves to Christianity, the wealth and the people and Christianity both spread. Christian monks, fired by religious fervor, organized themselves into order. Organized themselves into order. And what is fervor? Intense and passionate feeling. What is fervor? Intense and passionate feeling. Intense and passionate feeling. Okay, organize themselves into religious orders. These orders built great monasteries where the monks stayed and pursued their religious mission. The monks also pursued the art and learning of all kinds. The monasteries became great centers of scholarship, the art, and religious studies. majestic churches, majestic, big, huge, kingly churches were built in every town and city. Educational institutions such as the internationally renowned universities of Cambridge and Oxford evolved from these monasteries. So these monasteries started to play a great role in the development of the people. Not only this development was intellectual, this development was also political, and it was also economical. As the wealth and power of the church increased, it became increasingly conservative and authoritarian. Now, slowly, the order of the church also started to change. Now, these churches started to dictate people according to their own terms. They not only became conservative, they were very conservative in following the orders. Change was not accepted to them. Christian unqualified obedience, loyalty, and total submission to its dictates. And what all did it demand from a true Christian? A true Christian would be unchristian obedience, unqualified obedience. That means without any question, there would be first obedience and follow whatever they were told to follow. Loyal and true submission to its dictates. Who were the dictates? Dictates were those who were in the monasteries. Okay, the lords of the monasteries. The Crusades. Crusade is a holy war. Crusade means holy war. Crusade is a holy war. So what happened? So what happened in the 11th century CE? The Muslim Turks invaded the land of Christian emperor of Constantinople. Earlier they had captured Jerusalem, which was a part of Holy Land of the Christians. The Pope appealed to all the Christians to join the Crusades or the Holy War against the Turks to recover their Holy Land. Jerusalem was attacked. The Pope ordered the people to join the holy war. Holy war was what? To fight for their religion. Okay, to take back the land from the Turks. Between 11th and the 13th century CE, the Christians led 8 military expeditions against the Turks. The Crusaders failed to achieve their main objective, but they brought about several significant changes in medieval Europe. This war failed, but it was not without result. It brought several changes in the medieval Europe. In course of their travels, the Holy Land travel to the Holy Land, the Crusaders came in contact with the superior citizens and cultures of Greek and Turks. So what happened? Borrowing started to happen. What is borrowing? Accepting one I am one religion, but I accept other religion also, the beliefs of other religion also. So these type of things started to happen. They started to borrow the best, what was best in all the other religions. They assimilated the best elements of these cultures and started the process of the revival of Western education and learning and paving the way for Renaissance. Renaissance was a very significant happening in the world history. The people came up from the dark to light. People started to question, they started to reason. This way, whatever happened, they did not follow anything blindly. What they did, they questioned it because the Bible was there for the people. In many languages, Bibles were there. So if anybody told them to follow anything blindly, first they understood what it was. And this was Renaissance. Renaissance happened in all spheres of life, in education, in literature, in history, in arts, in writings, isn't it? The Crusaders learned the use of gunpowder and the guns from the Turks. Science also it happened. The two discoveries contributed to the decline of feudalism. And feudalism was one thing which was a again, it was a barbaric. one. It was very barbaric. The people who owed land collected heavy amount of taxes from the farmers to whom they had given their lands. If also there was no harvesting, then also they had to give the tax. If they didn't give the tax, maybe they were put into the jails, prisons. Maybe they had to give heavy amount of money, cash or kind, to the kings. So this way feudalism was very dark patch. So this ended feudalism. The armored knights had outlived their usefulness, and their services were no longer required. Europe re-established direct trade contacts with other parts of the world. The Crusaders got a taste of luxurious lifestyle of the East. To meet the demand for the luxurious item, European traders began to establish trade links with the East. As trade increased, the economy of Europe flourished. Anywhere in the world, economy flourishes because of trade. Wherever there will be greater trade, the economy will flourish. So trade with the East, what happened, made the economy flourish. Many new towns and cities were established. Traders and manufacturers demanded better condition of law and order and better system of law. They paid taxes to the king and helped him to raise a large army. This led to an increase in the authority of the king and a decline of the power of the feudal lords. The king were much more kinder than the much more they were better than the feudal lords. The feudal lords, they had no mercy, but the kings, they treated their subjects as their they treated the people as their subjects. They kept in view their development, their needs, better than the feudal lords. So what happened? The feudalism declined and monarchy started to happen in the society.